Welcome to the High Performance Edge, the podcast for contractors who lead with building science and want to turn that advantage into a stronger, more successful business. Whether you're in HVAC, insulation, solar, or home performance, we dig into strategy, sales, marketing, operations, hiring, and customer service approaches that power stable, more profitable companies. Hear from top contractors and industry experts as we explore what it takes to thrive as a very different kind of contractor. Here's your host, founder and CEO of Energy Circle, Peter Troast.
Hey folks, thanks for being here. There's a lot of buzz right now about the tech startups parachuting into our world. The Silicon Valley crowd, whose motivation to scale retrofits is genuine, but who go to market in not so subtle ways, promising to fix everything they say is broken about dealing with a contractor. The in-home visit, the slow quote, the supposedly lousy customer experience. What's cool about today's guest is that he's a 43-year veteran of the contracting business who was running that playbook years before the techies showed up to disrupt the heat pump business. Larry Waters founded Electrify My Home in Northern California and built it on an unconventional idea for the time: go all electric only and stop rolling a truck to every lead that calls. He swapped the in-home visit for a virtual assessment at a time when few in our industry were doing it, and has maintained conversion rates that are everyone's envy. This episode is really about one of high-performance contracting's critical challenges: how good companies differentiate themselves, not just from venture capital finance startups, but also from the entire HVAC sector still doing things the old way. Larry's company fully embraces the house as a system, addresses the envelope and mechanicals together, and is thriving in a very competitive market. Many people tend to dismiss California as a rarefied place that isn't replicable anywhere else in the country. Larry works in a part of California between the Bay Area and Sacramento, very definitively not the homeowner profile of Berkeley or San Francisco. Even though his brand is squarely about electrification and he does nothing else, only about 20% of his customers even mention carbon or climate. The rest just want better technology, a top quality buying experience, and a contractor who can clearly explain what sets them apart. Here's my interview with Larry Waters. Larry Waters, welcome. Great to have you. I've been very excited about having you on because of how you have started Electrify My Home, how you positioned the company, and in particular, how it relates to something that is all the buzz and discussion in the industry these days, which is the rise of these companies coming out of Silicon Valley, sort of tech-oriented startups that are here to kind of disrupt our industry. And what I think is so fascinating about the Electrify My Home story is that you were kind of their model before they existed. And so I'm really excited to dig into a little bit of that history. But before we do that, I think just let's make sure that, introduce yourself, introduce Electrify My Home, and then, maybe dive in a little bit to that story of how you conceived of the model, based on your past, and what it looks like today.
Well, Peter, you were involved in my earliest iteration of this entire thing because you built my website. So I've been in the trade about 43 years. I really started I had 10 years of commercial. And, so I had a good understanding of things, but then I started doing residential service. And I realized at some point that I wanted to talk to the homeowners because it was just a better feel for me. And that morphed into getting into the service and sales side. And then, which morphed into paying more attention to things, which brought up questions in my mind, which is why I could fix an air conditioner. And apparently it was working by all the stats I could take off of it, but the homeowner was still uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I always had the need to find into that. I stumbled upon BPI. I went through that whole program and the sugar was just right in the Kool-Aid. So I drank a lot of it and I never went back like a lot of contractors did. It was really a means to an end when I went through those classes because it was required for a specific program that was coming out in California,
right.
Energy Upgrade California, way ahead of its time. Didn't do all that well, but I figured out how to make houses more efficient. My customer reactions were great. My sales numbers went up significantly. And so I just kept going and learning more and learning more and learning more. And I aligned myself with some of the really smart people in this industry and just got as much information as I can handle, like Rich Kitwood and some of the grandfathers of home performance. So I says, I'm going to go build this business. I'm going to only electrify houses. Proud to say 6 years, I've never installed anything gas. I won't. We put a lot of caps on lines. It's really worked out good. And I wanted to build it off of a foundation of what I thought was inefficient and I didn't like about the traditional HVAC industry.
Yeah.
And do it correctly. And I said, since I have this knowledge and all of these programs are coming out, whenever a program comes out for an incentive program, there's always some workforce education training funds available. And so kind of went into that route too.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. I guess I want to, just dwell a little bit on, how visionary you were. I mean, today, a decision to be an electrification only company might not seem all that, abnormal, but back then, that was a very bold move. Some in the industry might say a reckless move. Say more about how you arrived at that decision and made a pretty very, very clear differentiation call.
I saw what was coming in California and I said, there's nobody that's going to attack this the right way. I was very passionate about what I was doing. And I said, I'm going to be 2 or 3 years ahead of the curve. And I'm going to start this thing that nobody's ever heard about. Nobody's electrify my home. Come on. Right. Yeah. But there are now people going, I need to electrify my home. And we had that conversation early on when we built the website and named the company. Yeah. Right? That was part of my initial business model. Yeah. But it was really, I didn't know how far it was going to go, but I knew there was going to be a market for it at some point. And I knew I was really good at, I'm a good salesperson and I'm a good engineer and I'm conscientious and I steer my customers in the right direction, sometimes to the detriment of my own profitability. But I knew that I could make this happen, but I also knew that I couldn't be that guy that starts his own business and thinks everything's going to be easy. Like, I'm a realist. I knew when I started the business, somebody else was going to have to do the paperwork and I was not going to be able to do all the work myself and sell everything. And, there's only 24 hours in the day and you got to sleep some point. So, when I formulated the business idea, I said, I know I can sell this. I infiltrated all the marketplaces of the customer personas that I knew would help me build it on the beginning.
Yeah.
And so I tapped into these markets and basically I went to meetings where people that were talking about heat pumps were, and I said, I'm your guy. I said, a lot of people can install heat pumps, but nobody else has the same vision you do for a fully electric California.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that built that. And because of the personality types that attend those meetings, those people all became ambassadors for my business.
Yeah. Right.
And it was just able to grow. Yeah. And so when I rolled out into my own shingle and my own first payroll, which will be, actually it's July 1st. We're coming up on a celebration. It'll be 5 years and July 1st is my first payroll. I was with that other person before that.
Yeah.
And I literally opened the shop with 3 months backlog of work. I had myself, the lead installer that I hired at the other company to come with me at the time. And I hired his wife as my office manager. Now it takes a lot of faith for a guy and his wife to both put their whole family's eggs in one basket.
Yes.
But we had built a track record. We were rolling in and it's just kind of built since then. So started with 3 folks.
Yeah. Larry, one of the things that, you tend to hear around the country is that there's nothing comparable to the California market in terms of the cohort of people that are interested in electrification for its own sake, right? They want the fossil fuels out of their home. And yet, I think while you obviously do work in the Bay Area, you have a big chunk of your service area that is not Berkeley, right? And is more, heading up towards Sacramento and the Central Valley kind of area. So say more about how you've seen the market change and that, the sort of the acceptance, interest, tolerance of an entirely electrification business.
Well, I think when people find out that when this is all done right and it's done through one contractor and it's a very smooth process, when they come out the other end, it's just life-changing experience. They've never experienced like comfort, safety, just all the things we deliver. So that story gets out there. There's a big awareness of it in California, although not everybody understands because some of the air resources boards are moving regulations along that are kind of bringing this around. Mm-hmm. But it's still, we're teaching people what the change is because a lot of people don't really pay a lot of attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is also these pockets of personas. So part of what we know is we know who our customers are. We know who those personas are, and we can find those in any town we go into just looking at data.
Yeah.
And so there's enough people that want to do this right. And as it moves along and spreads, and as the pain of higher gas bills and higher electric bills are getting on, people are looking for other solutions.
Yeah.
And you can't stick with gas. And, my house costs like $800 a year to operate. I have no gas meter, and it's incredibly comfortable, and we don't have to conserve. Like it's just, we live however we want. And it costs very little. You can't do that with any other solution. So it's just getting the word out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we keep in mind, like Maine is one of the biggest adopter states in the United States, and it's not California weather out there. So
no, it's not. No, and you're right. We have crossed, we crossed a tipping point where I think everybody, just you see heat pumps everywhere, and nobody questions their validity because they've survived the polar vortex and
right,
and have worked great. Well, I think that's really interesting. I'm glad you kind of said that, because I think this is a trend that we're seeing across the country. More and more people are aware, and and it's less about being motivated by electrification than it is about, I understand this technology better. Just one clarifying point, just to make sure everybody understands the business model. Do you go the full gamut? In other words, you'll support them in the transition to induction cooking and getting their water off of gas, et cetera?
Absolutely. So we're a comprehensive company. We come in and look at how we can decarbonize your home in the most efficient way possible. It's kind of all in our mission statement, and then share the benefits of the new technology with people. So this is just a transfer of technology. It's no different than when you got rid of your flip phone and got a smartphone. The government didn't tell you had to do that. Yeah. These are real easy arguments to get around. The government didn't tell you had to go from the tube TV to the flat screen TV. You just did it because it's better technology. Right. That's what this whole thing is. And if we frame it that way, it's everybody's opportunity.
Got it. All right. Let's shift and talk a little bit about the processes, business processes that you have adopted, somewhat radical change to like the traditional contracting method. And in a lot of ways, as I said before, in advance of what these tech companies did. So classic fashion, right? Smart business people, usually from outside our industry, parachute in, they take a look at how things go. They look for opportunities for disruption, and they look at the friction points. And, some of those, that they are very clear about is an in-house visit being like the huge impediment to the kind of scale and the business model, the nature of the quoting process. There's a lot of bad mouthing, quite frankly, of the customer experience process when it comes to dealing directly with a contractor. And in so many ways, you've kind of, before they even declared these to be sort of things to disrupt, you were doing it. So tell us first of all about how your process does work and how you made those decisions and how they've been received by the market.
Yeah. So one thing that I knew when I started was I was not going to be everywhere all the time. There was no possibility for me to do that. And I also knew who the persona of the buyers were that were interested in what I was providing, which is like a full project, making the house more efficient and putting in the right equipment. Yeah. And so I knew these people, very technical oriented, technology oriented, even on that end. So I said, I'm going to like remove the resistance of the process and just do an intake form that triggers a virtual assessment. And I'm going to sell the reasoning of that virtual assessment to each customer differently of why we do this.
Interesting.
I mean, if you're super climate oriented, it saves a lot of carbon emissions. Like if somebody gets 4 people come out to their house and I come virtually, I'll ask them, what do you think the embedded carbon in your process has been so far? Don't you wish you would have found us first, right? I'm going to save you time and effort. There's no pressure on this. We're going to deliver everything, give handshake agreement. And so basically they go through and fill out a pretty decent little form, which eliminates the people that are just kicking tires.
Tire kickers. Yep.
And because they're not going to spend the time, they got a little bit of sweat in the game. And then we've got a comprehensive report to go by. We do a little work on our end, a little internet research. And then we put together a virtual assessment, and I have the virtual assessment put together. Once I determine what the customer's personality type is, I can alter my virtual assessment process to them exactly. And I could do that all from my computer screen in the background. You can't, it's harder to do on site.
Yeah.
And then we offer, well, you're the only one that hasn't come out. You can't see this. And I says, no, but I've done 2,000 of these projects, right? So we know enough to give you some budget numbers and then come out. And this way it's no pressure. People appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's really saved us a lot of time and effort and gas and road miles and all the things.
Yeah.
And it's truly unique. We have altered it a little bit now to where we're moving into a different marketplace and bringing in different personas. So we do offer we'll do a on-site service for you first if you want it, but the uptick on that is small.
Really?
Like most people want to start virtually.
Yeah. Amazing. Mm-hmm. And I can speak because I, know this intimately, that your form, that folks fill out, the virtual assessment is pretty elaborate, right? I mean, by the standards.
That's a lot of questions.
It's asked a lot of questions, right? By the standards of a marketing guy who said to ask as few questions as possible so we can get as many leads as we want. This one requires some work, and your numbers are quite remarkable in terms of completion rates. So, how'd you accomplish what you're not supposed to be able to do?
I think because we frame it as this is what it takes to understand and do things the right way. Nobody else is doing it this way because they're not doing it the right way. Yeah. How can anybody look at everything that you have in your house and not take these into consideration? Yeah. And then it opens their eyes to things that are going on in their house too. They filled out that form. They know, I do have asbestos and iron pipes and knob and tube wiring and single pane windows. Yeah. It brings all of them up. So I'm not upselling them. They just realized it through the process. Yeah. And they're looking, what can I do about all this? So I think it helps. It does knock out part of the population that just doesn't have the patience to go through it. Those people aren't going to buy from me anyway. So if I have speed to lead and go talk to a bunch of people that don't want to do business with me anyway, does it make more sense to just not have to deal with them? Yeah. And just deal with the people that really want our services. So it's been beneficial. It's worked well.
Yeah. As long as you have enough leads, right? That's that process works really well. And it also sounds, just again, back to, applicability to the rest of the country. People, you're proving that people are willing to participate in that process. Yeah.
Well, what the industry's gone to is this thing, you go to their website, you put in your house information, it gives you a price right away. Yeah. It's never that price when you go out. There's always an upsell. It's like, okay, well, that was the equipment price. This is what it's going to cost to put it in. Yeah. It's now this number. Yeah. So we don't do that. We go through and take a little bit of time. We give you what's going to be the top end number. Usually I say 98% is top end number. Once in a while we run into a problem out there and people are like, no problem. You found this. It's a little bit more expensive. Don't have a problem. But most of the time, because we're giving them a solid, pretty high price going in. Yeah. But we're selling the value during the virtual assessment and we're able to teach people. It's more of a education during the virtual assessment than it is anything else because we've got a PowerPoint in front of them.
Yeah. Well, this is a really good point on the way that these tech companies work, is that a lot of them are standing for this, instant quote, right? We'll get you a quote really fast. And as you said, it's very often a bait and switch kind of situation, but just so I understand clearly, your process is you do the virtual audit. With the information gained in the virtual audit, you have enough information to give what do you call that? A ballpark quote?
We call it the budget numbers. Okay, and then we have them sign the budget numbers as a handshake agreement. Okay. And the idea is we're going to come out and do all the energy auditing. We're going to do all this. It's included in this price, but we can't do it for everybody. Right. So you have to be serious enough to say, with what we've showed you so far and what and our reputation, all these things, you're willing to move forward with this if I can keep it at this price. Got it. And then that gets the pre-signature and then we move from there.
And that's a sufficient that signature is a sufficient contract for you to move forward and go.
Yeah. And we'll invest the time. And we have like a one, maybe 2% certain months of drop rate, like people that we go out to their house and they don't actually do the work.
Got it. Really interesting. Okay. And then just to be clear, because, this is the high performance edge and we are all about the diagnostic piece. Upon the signing of that contract, then the diagnostic processes begin.
Right. And they're intensive. Like we do full manual J, manual S, all the load calculations. We do pre-testing of their existing equipment. We do post-testing out on the other end. And we do a very, very deep inspection of the home and make recommendations.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fantastic. Do you compete directly with some of them? I mean, you're in the heart of the beast with the general Bay Area, where a lot of these startups start some of their first markets are often in your territory. Do you go head to head with them?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't pay attention to who my competition is. I pay attention to who my customers are and serving them.
Okay.
I know who they are out there, but if I lose a job, I don't care who I lost it to. I lost it to somebody that was going to do less and be less expensive. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
So I know that of my last 11 virtual assessments I've done, I've sold 10 of them, and the other lady's trying to figure out how she's going to pay for it. So I don't worry about that. If they come through our funnel, I know we've got a high chance of getting them.
Yeah.
And
well, I guess, to me, we as contractors, are up against these guys, right? And a lot of them are not contractors at all, right? They're MBAs. And so I'm curious, to me, part of your story is so compelling, right? Well, I've been doing this for 40 years. And I guess, if you were to come up against those guys in a, absolute competitive situation, how would you explain how you're different versus them?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be a market for somebody that's going to take care of you and not be that I got a price online and I don't have any human touch, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to offer a human touch. We're going to offer a better solution that is all encompassing. And you're the star here, not the equipment. The customer is the star. Their home is the star. It's not the equipment. It's not the magic beans that I have. It's none of that. We're going to treat your house for what it is, very unique. And, and we explain that process through. Now, to be perfectly frank, I haven't seen this erosion coming in because our business is still growing. And when we do lose a customer or don't get a bid, I don't pay any attention to where it went. I just pay attention to what we need to do to win it next time.
Got it.
And so now these companies are coming into market and they're saying, oh, we have technology that's going to be really less expensive because we're one-offing it. And we think that this machine is going to take care of everything.
Yeah.
And so that's great. But that's like a computer. That's like the AI coming out and says, hey, it's great. It still makes mistakes and it's not everything.
Yeah.
I'm not worried that all that's going to take over. I'm worried that we're not going to fix the houses and we're going to waste a bunch of energy. And so you have a system that's going to adjust that. The bottom line is you have a hole in the bucket. The water's going to leak out just as fast. Right? It doesn't matter how much water's in the bucket. It's all going to leak out at the same rate. So if I fix the hole, I can keep the bucket tight. I'm not going to leak anything out. They're just going to put in a system that's going to offset the deficiencies. I'm going to fix the deficiencies. So you also live in a world of incredible comfort and all these other things. So, and I don't think anybody's really approaching it that way. It's very much what I've seen. It's concierge services and there's a new company kind of coming to town. They've got some pretty interesting equipment, I guess, that's supposed to do the whole job. Mm-hmm. That's going to appeal to, disc profiling. We know people are broken up to 4 quad. That's going to appeal to specific parts of the population on how that goes. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
let's dig a little slightly deeper on this concierge concept, because this is one of their, this is one of their calling cards. Is the typical customer experience when you are dealing directly with a contractor is terrible, right? And they're very overt about it. If you look at their websites, it's like, you don't need any more, unreturned phone calls and delayed meetings and all the things. And it sounds like you have really leaned into that. But how are you communicating that the hand-holding concierge type process is really different when dealing with Electrify My Home?
Well, first of all, I mean, there are some contractors out there that would just love it. Give me as many jobs as I can do. I love the tools. I want to just go install.
Yes. Yeah.
And those guys might not call you back if a customer went directly through them. Maybe concierge is better. But a good contractor that's going to do good work is going to make those phone calls. They are going to get those emails, and they're not going to all be AI generated, right?
Right.
And so you're actually going to talk to somebody. You can call somebody at the company that you have a relationship with, not how do I get a hold of these people? So there are certain people that want to disconnect from society and not ever talk to anybody.
Yeah.
but you're not going to be able to build relationships with them. You're just selling them a widget. So there's still the majority of the population wants to have a relationship. Now, someone will take it because it's a little bit cheaper, but a downside of going through the concierge too, is like you can have a concierge company and they send you to me. They're charging me a fee that I have to build back in for you.
Right.
Somebody's
ox is getting gored.
Right. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And so that's what we like. We'll give you all the services and the attention to detail and the customer service that all of these guys will, and it'll save you a bunch of money because we don't got to pay another layer.
Yeah. Got it. One more question about the model, Larry. You obviously are describing that you're doing everything comprehensively and you're addressing the envelope alongside of the mechanical systems. How are you getting all of that work done, especially on the envelope side?
We're working our butts off here. I've got all my guys trained up on dry climate building science.
Yeah.
And how to seal houses and how to do blower door tests and how to be successful with insulation. Yeah. We only do scope. We only do attic insulation here in-house if it's in our scope, because it's in our scope. I have a subcontractor that I'll bring in for anything else, but we do all the air sealing and testing and all that stuff ourselves.
Okay. So you've internalized that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have my own electrical department. We do all the electrical in-house. We do everything in-house. So that customer only has to talk to one person. They don't have to themselves turn into a general contractor.
Got it. Okay, good. Which is another really hot topic in the industry is just, everyone in high performance knows the importance of the envelope. Doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has embraced it as a business, right? So that's interesting to hear. Good. Well, as we wind down a little bit here, I just want to make sure that you tell the story of the other side of the Electrify My Home, the work that you do in training and how you're, supporting so many contractors, some of whom are your competitors, which is a pretty extraordinary thing. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of gas appliances in California that need to be replaced. There's 14 million houses in this state. There's plenty of work for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I like to teach other contractors how to do this properly because I want to see it turn out well in California. And so the more people that I can bring along and show them how to do this, the better we're going to be able to operate as a team against these larger companies that are coming in potentially. Yeah. So I got a Rolodex of companies all over the state that have been through our training program and at least have drank one glass of the Kool-Aid. So, and I've got other ones that are like disciples. But anytime there's an ability or an opportunity for me to go teach through any of the utility programs, because there's always workforce education training money built into all these programs.
Yes.
I'm going to go out and try to bring people up to where they're doing better work. They're better with their customers and they're delivering a superior product.
Yeah.
And I want to help them build their businesses so they can stay through. So that's like you help us with our cohort program every go around. You do a presentation for them. Yeah. But we help contractors understand not just how to install this right, but how do you build your business properly? What are you trying to get? It's amazing how many companies don't have a mission statement or don't know how to explain what they do in 30 seconds. And we help them with all those basic things, get them really excited about owning a business and being in this. So they go out with the enthusiasm that people feel when they're selling it.
Yeah.
And then they can be more successful with it.
That's awesome.
So
yeah. That's so great.
I'm not going to last forever. I'm 62 years old, so I'm going to retire in 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And so we need to have other people doing it. Alex and the crew here will keep this thing going even after I'm retired, but
we're not going to allow it, Larry.
I'm still going to teach for as long as they'll let me stand up. If I got to come in with a walker, I'll still do that.
Good. I figured that would be the case. You and I are in the same. We have the same mentality on that score. Well, that's exciting, and the country needs you. So, if it's not travel, we need to spread the Kool-Aid of Larry Waters and Electrify My Home around the country. You're enormously generous with what you know. It's remarkable what you've done with your company, and I so appreciate you coming on and telling us your story. So thanks for being here, Larry.
Well, no problem, Peter, because I appreciate you saying that, because some days you get up as a business owner and entrepreneur and it's like, why? But I've gotten past those. I haven't had any of those days in a couple of years, which is good.
Good. Good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks much.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. Nice seeing you.
The High Performance Edge podcast is brought to you by our company, Energy Circle, the marketing agency that for 15 years has served the most successful high-performance contractors in the country. Curious about whether we might be a good fit for your marketing and website needs? It begins with a no-obligation, no hard sales discussion of your business and goals and an honest assessment of whether we can make an outsized impact on your company. Check out energycircle.com or email me directly at peter@energycircle.com.